contaminated surfaces and objects. Anybody with a weakened body immunity has a greater risk of contracting coronavirus disease. People living with pre-existing medical conditions such as HIV, cancer, TB, diabetes, among others, must adhere to their treatment to strengthen immunity and therefore should ensure they have a constant supply of necessary medicines. Contact your clinic or health facility for information on how to access treatment. Help others within your network to access adequate supply of essential medicines. Ensure that you remain connected with your local networks for any support and follow the medical guidelines provided by your health facility to prevent coronavirus. Remember to stay updated with information on coronavirus using only trusted reliable channels. For more information on COVID-19, call 719 or dial *719#. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, your family, and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, this Tuesday, the 30th of March, 2021. Glad to have you join us. I hope you had yourself a fantastic day. And the COVID-19 story continues. Today, Kenya reported a positivity rate of 19%, even as Kenyans continue to be urged to adhere to COVID-19 protocols, including washing your hands, putting on the mask, and socially distancing. KCSE examinations are ongoing, and cases of malpractice already reported in some parts of the country. We have details of that and much more. Talk to us at Purity_Museo and at KBC Channel 1 News. You can interact with us on Twitter and also Facebook. We'll be live on all our social media platforms. Let's kick off this broadcast with the day's highlights.
We have arrested an invigilator at a center in Migori County who was sharing some of the materials that are exposed before the scheduled time.
Cracking the whip. One invigilator in custody for aiding KCSE examination cheating. 3 others on the run. Across the border drink calls to close the Kenya-Tanzania border as thirsty Kenyans escape the red zone boredom for entertainment in Tanzania. Unraveling KEMSA graft riddle, Parliament now wants evidence to rule out favoritism in the award of KEMSA multi-million shilling COVID-19 related tenders. And Mpango it is. Tanzanian President picks Magufuli's Finance Minister Dr. Philip Mpango as her Vice President. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Purity Museo and Lensa Odingo is our sign language interpreter. Tonight, our top story: 1 person is in police custody and 3 others are being sought for trying to compromise the ongoing Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha said the 4 who were invigilators had exposed the exams materials before the commencement time. The Cabinet Secretary was on an inspection tour of ongoing exams in Nairobi, has also barred the National youth service from participating in the securing the examination centers.
4 invigilators are under arrest for trying to leak the ongoing Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examinations. Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha said the exams officials were arrested for exposing the examination papers before the actual commencement time.
We have arrested an invigilator at a center in Migori County who was sharing some of the materials that are exposed before the scheduled time. Magaland police are stepping up their investigations to trace the chain of people that are connected to this ring.
The CS warned that no candidate will be allowed to have any unfair advantage in the ongoing national examinations.
We'll ensure all candidates continue assessing examination questions at the same time when the papers are scheduled to be taken.
Professor Magoha, who officiated the opening of the examination container in Machakos County early Tuesday, said each examination center must be secured by at least 2 armed police officers, barring the National Youth Service from taking part in the exercise.
There are centers in the northern part of this country where the second paper sometimes is tampered with. And this emphasizes the need for at least 2 armed policemen to ensure that one of those policemen is constantly with the examination.
In Migori County, head teachers have been cautioned that they are all under the Ministry of Education radar for any exam irregularities.
We have schools that we have mapped out and we are checking how they are behaving. We realize that a bit of problem arises from the deputy center managers, the deputy principals. We are encouraging the principals to take charge so that the deputy center managers who are in some of those schools which we have picked out do not play any monkey business with the exams.
The ministry is also calling on stakeholders and examination monitors across the country to report any cases of malpractices to the Kenya National Examination Council through toll-free numbers 0800 724 900 and 0800 721 410. As the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams enters day 3, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has assured the country that the exams are safe and that there are no malpractices. Reporting for Channel 1 News from St. George's Girls here in Nairobi, I'm Ruth Wamboi.
Thank you so much, Ruth, for that report. And now to COVID-19 update. Kenya has confirmed 1,530 new coronavirus cases from a sample size of 8,010 in the last 24 hours. The latest figures indicating a positivity rate of 19.1%. In the same period, the country lost another 12 patients, with 152 fighting for their lives in the intensive care units in various hospitals across the country.
The new confirmed cases takes Kenya coronavirus caseload to 132,646 from a total of 1,480,240 tests undertaken since the country recorded its first case. In the last 24 hours, the country lost 12 patients, taking the death toll to 2,147. A total of 1,308 patients are currently admitted in various hospitals countrywide, while 4,060 are on home-based isolation and care. 152 patients are in the ICU. And to date, the country has vaccinated a total number of 130,575 people.
Moving on, authorities in Namanga, Kajiado County are calling on the president to close the Namanga one-stop border post as a free movement of citizens from the town to Tanzania and back was posing a threat in the fight against the deadly COVID-19 disease. They say locals have resorted to receiving services prohibited under the new COVID-19 containment measures across the border, making them mockery of the stringent measures announced last week. Kenyans living in Namanga are still welcome on this other side of the Namanga one-stop border, Tanzania. Since the ban of public gatherings and entertainment joints, authorities are reporting a mass exodus of locals to the neighboring country for merrymaking.
Ukifunga pande hii ya Kenya mambo ya makanisa, ufunge kila kitu, na bado Tanzania hajafungwa, basi wale watu wote wa pande hii wanateremkia pande ya Tanzania. Kwa hivyo bado hakuna suluhisho.
Kanisa la Namanga tuko kwenye hatari. Tuko kwenye mpaka wa Namanga, Kenya na Tanzania. Na kumbuka kwamba upande ule mwingine hakuna sheria zozote zinafuatwa. Na swala la kufunga kanisa kwa mji wa Namanga ni hatari. Kwa sababu kama kanisa litafungwa, washirika wetu au waumini wetu watachukua nafasi ya kutafuta mahali pengine pa kuabudia.
The action, they say, could frustrate the fight against COVID-19 in the country, and I want President Uhuru Kenyatta to close the border.
Pande yetu ya Kenya tayari kuna sehemu imefungwa, na ndazungumzia tu mahali imefungwa. Hizi mabaya ya Kenya imefungwa, na wale watoto wote pamoja na watu wa Kenya wote wanaelekea kwenda Tanzania kunywa pombe, kuendelea kufanya mambo mengine huko Tanzania. Kwa hivyo kama ni kufunga mambo ya Kenya, basi Uhuru Kenyatta angejaribu basi kufunga boda kabisa.
Tumeambiwa tufunge kanisa, na tukifunga makanisa washirika wetu wanaondoka kanisani wanakwenda makanisa ya jirani. Na ukienda makanisa ya jirani kule hawajaweka sheria hizi za barakoa, kusanitize mikono. Kwa hiyo wataenda kama ni kuendelea kuenea kwa virusi vya corona, ndio itaendelea zaidi, maana watarudi, maana ni wa Kenya.
The clarion call comes as the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, KCSE, urges the head of state to provide clear guidelines on how the government plans to avert a looming economic crisis following the imposition of new containment measures announced Friday. According to the Machakos KCSE Chair Mutavi Kidhu, the new containment measures were not clear on how the economy will recover.
Tungeomba rais afikirie tena ili jambo la lockdown. Aangalie ni sectors gani ambazo zina drive economy. Kwa sababu ukisema umefunga mambo ya bar, umefunga mambo ya mahoteli, all that supply chain system ya mahoteli na bars ni kubwa ambayo ina affect the economy.
Meanwhile, Machakos Governor Dr. Alfred Mutua has directed the County Department of Health to urgently make procurement of oxygen generators, saying all the available 460 cubic meters of oxygen had been exhausted.
I have given instructions to my Minister and Chief Officer that we've talked to the engineers that we procure under emergency, because it's an emergency, we procure ASAP new machines. I think they need a new generator, and I think what is the other one? A compressor, and a compressor and a generator immediately.
While Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula wants the government to launch mass testing and vaccination programs to eradicate the COVID-19 disease in the 5 counties placed under lockdown. Speaking in the Senate, Wetangula said curfews and cessation of all movement in and out of the 5 counties will do little to reverse spread of the virus.
No landlord will listen to any tenant that because of the close down you will not pay your rent. They will evict them. There are even crude landlords who will go and remove doors from dwelling houses and put on padlocks that nobody can open. We must have measures, and I want to urge the President, just as his measures may be well-founded and in good faith, but a lot more must be done.
And on Tuesday, Kenya's COVID-19 positivity rate dropped to 19% against what was witnessed on Monday, the highest ever at 26%. So let's continue washing our hands and sanitizing and wearing that mask to ensure that the rate goes back to at least 2% or under 5% as recommended by the World Health Organization. And the National Assembly's Public Investments Committee has given the management of Kenya Medical Supplies Authority an ultimatum of 7 days to furnish it with detailed statements of the payment criteria for firms awarded in the multi-million shillings COVID-19 tender. According to the committee, there are inconsistencies in the payment modalities that points to favoritism.
The National Assembly's Public Investment Committee has questioned the inconsistency reported in the payment of firms that supplied personal protective equipment to Kenya Medical Supplies Authority. Of concern to the committee was how some companies had their payments hastened.
This is the question I'm asking. Were you under any duress at any given time? Were there any preference of some? Of course, in your second point, you mentioned clearly that people with Agbo you were paying within 30 days. Were there other people that you are paying faster than others? And of course, you are under oath, and you must be able to tell us the truth about it.
These were tenders that, for instance, LICOL needed to ensure due diligence. If you look at the contract, for instance, we were insisting that warehousing manager confirm that the goods indeed have arrived. And in the numbers...
You just contradicted yourself.
Don't tell us about due diligence, because there was none. After listening to the witnesses that we have, and we have listened to more than 50 or so witnesses, some of us are persuaded to think that you withheld payments for people whom you didn't have interests in, and paid people that you were associated with or that you wanted kickbacks on. That's the point.
Yeah.
But the management of KEMSA, comprised of acting CEO Edward Njoroge, legal officer Frederick Wanyonyi, chief financing officer Waiganjo Karanja, and acting director of procurement, failed to explain the inconsistencies in price negotiation regime, with the chief financing officer claiming some payments bypassed his office.
I think the payment was ideally done on the basis of the final negotiated price.
But would you call it a negotiation when everyone is paid almost the same? It doesn't look that it is a usual thing, or that are you in agreement that these are prices that had been pre-planned?
I wouldn't say so, but it's odd.
Some of the payments were done between the chairman, the CEO, and the next signatory, the other signatory, and some were between the CEO and myself.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me? Wait. Are you trying to tell me that there are payments that would bypass your department?
Yes, Chairman.
There are payments that would bypass the finance department.
The management also noted that quality assurance of the items was done after goods were supplied, as the committee expressed its doubts on the urgency of the supplies. Roughly 20% of the items have so far been sold. The KEMSA management was given 7 days to prepare a conclusive report after the committee found its response wanting. Kamche Menza for Channel 1 News.
Let's now focus on Kenya's security status. Kenyan security agencies have released a photo of a wanted terror suspect identified as Rashid Mwalimu, whom they describe as armed and dangerous, and urging members of the public who may have information on his whereabouts to tip off the police. Elsewhere, police gunned down 3 robbery suspects at Witeithie village in Juja, Kiambu County.
According to a statement sent to newsrooms by the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutyambai, security agencies are tracking Rashid Mwalimu, an Al-Shabaab operative who studied aviation at Al Aisa Aviation Academy in the Philippines. Mwalimu escaped a police dragnet that saw the arrest of his accomplice, Cholo Abdi Abdullah, on July 1st, 2019 in the Philippines. Cholo faces 6 accounts of terrorism-related crimes arising from his activities as an Al-Shabaab member. Security sources indicate that Cholo and Rashid were close friends and joined Al-Shabaab in 2015, where they trained and conducted attacks in Somalia before being sent to Boni Forest. Members of the public have been urged to be vigilant and give information if Mwalimu is sighted anywhere by calling or sending a text to the National Police Service Headquarters hotline numbers 999 or 911 or 122. Elsewhere, detectives gunned down 3 suspects at Witethie village in Juja, Kiambu County after a foiled robbery. The 3 are reported to have been on the police radar and have been terrorizing members of the public in various parts of Kiambu and Nairobi counties. According to Kiambu County Police Commander Ali Nuno, the 3 suspects were intercepted while on a mission at the sprawling village.
Who are believed from Dondora. 2 of them are from Dondora. 1 is from Witethie. And they came to Witethie with an intent to commit a robbery in a local M-Pesa. In fact, these are people whom we have been trailing for a while. They have been committing robberies in area of Witethie, Juja Farm, Dondora, and Nairobi at large.
And finally, in Mandera County, area leaders are appealing to the government to scale up surveillance in the area following the killing of a herder in Lafey sub-county. Area leaders, while condemning the incident, said it was unfortunate that bandits attacked an innocent herder who was just grazing his animals.
I want them to understand and treat this as a criminal activity and not to look at it as a clan or family affair, and to restrain themselves as much as possible to make sure that they do not revenge, and they should allow the county security team to do their responsibility as required.
And this is Channel 1 News Hour. Thank you for keeping it here. Tell us where you tuned in from. Tweet us at KBC Channel 1 News and at Purity_Museo. Use the hashtag Channel 1 News Hour. And at Strategist, you tuned in from Ongata Rongai. Sari Out, you're saying that you're watching from Thika. And Joseph Felix tuned in from Migori County. Bob Owino watching from Kona Mbaya, Manyata, Gonda. And Harrington Muhande, you're watching Channel 1 News Hour from Kakamega. Thank you for staying with us. We're taking our first commercial break. Don't go. And we are still plenty more to come. Stay with us.
Ni mimi. Ulitoa pikipiki? Mulitani sitaomoka. Ni yako. Hii nduti ni yangu. Niliwahi pale Quickbit. Quickbit? Quickbit imekuja kusaidia wananchi kama sisi. Nilinunua 399 shillings. Juu nilikuwa the lowest unique bidder. 399 shillings. Quickbit shilingi moja unaweza nunua pizza. Shilingi 2 unaweza nunua microwave. Shilingi 5 unaweza nunua hata gari. So tupeleke huko hata mtu aende huko.
Jiunga na Quickbit ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bidi yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bidi yako pia kwenye www.quickbit.co.ke. Kumbuka, bidi ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio ununua. Quickbit, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Next on.
Hello.
Hamjambo.
Nzuri sana. Kidogo park on risk please. Watoka wapi?
Hebu sikiza nikwambie. Usifikirie mimi sijui.
Kwa masharti gani? Wewe kumfika pale wanapiga kishughuli zako, lakini usinisharibie pale na usitie ufundi mwingi.
So nipige hesabu subuhi niambia what plus what is equal what?
Woman plus a man equals children production.
Thank you, Father.
On the next episode of Ashoka.
For the sake of doing justice, I have to ask you again. Did you have any accomplice in this scheme of yours?
Who wins at this game? But one thing is certain, that this time it is now or never.
What was the need for you to betray my trust?
You would have offered everything at my feet? Really? Then why did you not crown Justin as the emperor?
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lensa Odinga is our sign language interpreter tonight. The late Sarah Obama, step-grandmother to former United States President Barack Obama, was laid to rest Tuesday at her home in Kogelo, Siaya County. Sarah Obama was buried a few minutes past noon in accordance with the rites of the Muslim faith. A cross-section of leaders from both levels of government joining locals in paying their last respect to the departed Obama family matriarch in a low-key ceremony.
A chilly afternoon at the home of the late Sarah Obama in Kogelo, Alego Songa constituency in Siaya County. Locals and leaders from both levels of government gathered to bid farewell to the woman who came to the limelight when Barack Obama was elected US President in 2008. Many eulogizing her for the good deeds she left behind.
Angeweza kualika jamii ya area hii wote wakapanga line wakapata nguo wakati fulani akiletewa mabeseni na vitu ya plastic anaita community wanakuja wanachukua wakati fulani wanaletewa chakula ya msaada anaita hii boma ilikuwa ni boma ya msaada.
She led a life that by the measure of our family and by the measure of many was a life well lived.
This must be a showground and a destiny for many people in the village, in the world to visit. So as we lay Mama to rest, let's thank God that she's been a foundation for great things. Let those great things not be forgotten.
In a condolence speech read on his behalf by Foreign Affairs Cabinet Secretary Rachel Omamo, President Uhuru Kenyatta termed the departed matriarch as a kind-hearted person whose contribution to the community will be dearly missed.
Mama Sarah was a woman of substance and an outstanding Kenyan who exhibited the true strength of an African lady. The values she stood for and her captivating smile endeared her to many. This made her home, this one where we are today, one of the most welcoming places that attracted people from far and wide.
The late Sarah Obama was buried a few minutes past 12 o'clock as per the rites of the Muslim faith. The highly guarded low-key ceremony was attended by a small number of mourners in line with the directive by the government to contain the spread of coronavirus.
The curtains may have come down on the Obama family matriarch, but her acts of kindness will forever live in the hearts of many. Wycliffe Okech reporting for Channel 1 News from Kogelo in Siaya County.
From Kisumu County, let's now cross our borders for a minute. And Dr. Philip Isdo Mpango will be sworn in as the new Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania on Wednesday in Dodoma after Parliament approved his nomination. Dr. Mpango was nominated by President Samia Suluhu Hassan to succeed her after she took oath of office following the death of John Pombe Joseph Magufuli on the 17th of this month.
Kisha bungeni jina la mheshimiwa narudia tena.
When Job Ndugai, Speaker of the National Assembly of Tanzania, announced President Samia Suluhu Hassan's nominee for the country's vice president, every member approved.
Jina la mheshimiwa Philip Isidori Mpango.
Dr. Philip Mpango, who is Tanzania's finance minister, is set to become the second in command after all 363 legislators endorsed him. Dr. Mpango will be sworn in Wednesday at State House Dodoma. The 63-year-old will succeed Samia Suluhu Hassan, who was sworn in as president of Tanzania following the death of John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. Dr. Mpango has held the finance docket since 2015.
Alipofariki Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, nililia sana hadharani, lakini pia hata binafsi huko nyumbani. Lakini baadaye machozi yangu yalikauka kwa sababu Tanzania lazima iendelee kuishi.
He is among 2 cabinet ministers reappointed by the late President Magufuli after he was re-elected for a second term.
Twende kuwa a high income country katika kipindi kifupi, na inawezekana kwa pamoja tukiamua kama Watanzania.
Dr. Mpango, born in Kigoma Buhigwe constituency, northwestern Tanzania, now ceases to be the area member of parliament. Consequently, National Assembly Speaker Job Ndugai has declared the Buhigwe parliamentary seat vacant as stipulated in the Tanzanian constitution. Irene Mchuma Odim, Channel 1.
To Home Affairs, the Orange Democratic Movement has refuted claims of a rift in the Building Bridges Initiative constitutional amendment process. BBI National Secretariat Co-Chair Junet Mohammed saying the time for BBI were on course and the referendum will be held in July this year as planned by its architects.
Junet claimed the BBI process is under control of the president and his handshake partner Raila Odinga, and that the referendum will be held as planned in July after Parliament and the courts dispense on matters touching on the same.
So there is no cause for alarm. There is no cause to worry. And the courts will take their own decision. And I know they are cognizant of the fact that this is a Kenyan-driven agenda. It's a popular initiative. So the courts are not living in vacuum, they are living in Kenya.
But a section of ANC legislators have condemned the position taken by Junet, saying the process now belongs to Kenyans.
Kwa sababu sasa hivi tuko wakati wa COVID, hamwezi harakisha kila mtu wasonge na speed yenyu. Mheshimu Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, sisi tutasimama na Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Ile direction Rais atapeana kwa masuala ya BBI ndio sisi kama chama cha ANC tutafata. Lakini mambo ya kublackmail watu ati we will now go and work with Ruto, tunawaambia you go work with him, work with whoever you want to work with.
Kwa hivyo umetoa Malala ndio huyu hapa, na hakuna mahali mtampeleka, na sisi hatutatishwa, na sisi tunaunga Mheshimiwa Musalia mkono na Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta mkono walainishe nchi ya Kenya.
This as Westlands MP Tim Wanyonyi has supported current political realignments in the country, saying that it won't halt the BBI report progress.
The new alliances and whatever is going to happen, we all know that BBI is for all Kenyans. BBI is not for any quota, and for those who are playing politics with it, they have not read that document.
Meanwhile, Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission constituency in the May 18th this year's by-election, 3 female candidates have been cleared to take part in the mini poll. Suleiman Yeri, Channel 1 News.
The National Assembly and the Senate have resolved to suspend ordinary sittings as one of the mitigation measures to minimize the spread of coronavirus in a motion passed in the afternoon at both houses. The National Assembly regular sittings will resume on Thursday, the 29th of April 2021, whereas ordinary sittings at the Senate will resume on Tuesday, 11th May 2021.
The members of Parliament who are to begin debate on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 starting April 1st officially altered the calendar of regular sittings until Thursday 29th April 2021 in respect of the proclamation of President Uhuru Kenyatta to suspend meetings as a measure to contain spread of COVID-19. Ordinary sittings at the Senate have also been suspended until Tuesday 11th May 2021.
We cannot continue fooling around. We cannot continue joking around with an infectious disease that's already killing thousands of our people and pretend as if we're heroes that we'll be able to reverse the events. We will not be able to reverse the events.
While I support, I would like to discourage my colleagues from playing politics with this disease. Wearing masks, keeping social distance, and staying at home is not political. It's a matter of life. I support, Madam Speaker.
During the period, the Select Committee of the Senate will continue to hold virtual meetings and, where necessary, hold physical meetings in absolute and strict compliance with the COVID-19 protocols.
I was of the opinion originally
that we should not adjourn, even for a day, that our calendar we must meet every week. But I understand, I was persuaded when I realized that the calendar already indicates that we are going for recess on 16th of April.
We work through plenary or through committees. And if one of them is shut completely and the others are not facilitated to operate within the COVID regulations, so we will have abdicated our responsibility to be out there to work for Kenyans.
Earlier, members in both houses were divided over the decision by the government to impose curfews and cessation of all movement into and out of the 5 zoned counties declared disease-infected.
What else are we doing apart from closing down? One would have expected then the government to carry out massive compulsory testing and vaccinations of residents of these counties as a positive measure in controlling the spread of this virus.
Ben Chumba, reporting for Channel 1 News.
In a separate matter, the High Court has temporarily stopped the ousting of nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura from the Jubilee Party until a petition that the senator had lodged opposing his expulsion is heard and determined. Justice Hedwig Oguni rather directed the political parties tribunal not to institute any orders until the April 15th, when there will be an inter-party hearing. The registrar of political parties had removed nominated Senator Isaac Mwaura's name from Jubilee Party's membership list and was only awaiting the adoption of the decision by the party's National Executive Committee. This gives Mwaura a reprieve, as his seat would have been declared vacant by the Senate Speaker Kenneth Lusaka, subsequently paving way for the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to start the process of replacing the senator. To more news, the Kenya Union of Nurses and Taita Taveta County Government have agreed to bury the hatchet and work together for better service delivery to residents. Elsewhere, boda operators in Embu County have strongly condemned and distanced themselves from a mob justice incident that saw the lynching of a suspected motorbike thief at Kibugu area.
Martin Mushira, the Embu County boda operators spokesperson, said those who carried out the heinous act were not boda operators but people impersonating riders. Mushira called on security agencies to fast-track investigations and arrest the assailants who have tarnished the reputation of boda operators in the region.
Kwa hivyo wenye walienda wakavunja seru, wakatoa mfungo huko, wakakuja kumua hapa Embu Town, tunasema hao si watu wa pikipiki, na kama kuna mtu aliweza kuona sura zao ama kuna mtu mwenye anaweza kuwa na any suspect, akishikwa huyu atumchukui kama mwana bodaboda, tunamchukua kama criminal.
Meanwhile, Kenya Union of Nurses and Taita Taveta County Government are now reading from the same script after signing of memorandum of understanding that will see the possible reinstatement of nurses who had been fired by the county assembly.
We therefore, at any given time as a union, will continue to operate within the provision of the law. We will continue to work closely with the County Public Service Board of Taita Taveta and the whole government at large. We will endeavor to resolve all issues which might have prolonged this strike if you compare with other county government outside there.
In Nairobi, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education, KUPPET, is urging the government to ensure all teachers are vaccinated against COVID-19 before schools reopen. KUPPET Secretary General Akelo Misori at the same time encouraged teachers to embrace the immunization.
Thanks to science that now vaccination is around, it will be important that all teachers before the reopening of schools are prioritized for vaccination. They are not a very big population, and this one should not be a matter of compulsory, but a matter of choice also.
Another break will do. Thank you so much for staying with us here at Channel 1 News. We'll be back with more news, including business and sports. Keep it here.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii ya jogging kwa simu yako,
bonyeza *811 *758 hash.
Good morning, class. Good morning, Mr. Kipto. Now I want you to write a composition using the word jogging. Teacher, please give us spelling for the word jogging. Sijasema jog ile jog ile jog ya kunyongwa. Hapana. Ninasema jogging. Na sijasema jog ile nje unasema jog ya kukimbia ya marathon ama ile jog ingine ile jog ya television ya kucheka. Sijasema hiyo jogging na maanisha jogging your brain ile kukimbiza akili changamoto. That a composition using the word jogging.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii bonyeza *811 *758 hash *811 *758 hash.
Next on.
Trying to advise you to do is to start this from scratch and then see what happens from there.
Because I am old enough to date whomever it is I want.
But you are living in my house. Therefore, abide by the rules.
Would want to buy his shares. Wouldn't it be better to keep Manuel's shares in our family?
This is Constanza Olazaba, my girlfriend.
It's time for business news. Let's begin with this update. And President Uhuru Kenyatta has signed Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2021 into law, paving way for utilization of 125.16 billion shillings from the Consolidated Fund. 59.81 billion shillings from the amount will be channeled to infrastructure, healthcare and housing, with 36.11 billion shillings going towards improving the country's rail system. And moving on to other news, the cost of maize flour and other products made from maize could increase in coming days as stringent rules bar imports from neighboring countries. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya says Kenya is keen on maintaining the stringent rules to protect Kenyans from aflatoxin-contaminated maize that had been flagged from consignments from 2 neighboring countries.
Early this month, Kenya lifted a blanket ban on maize imports from the neighboring countries after millers raised concern that the ban might cause a maize shortage and increase maize prices in the country. The ban was placed after maize consignment from 2 neighboring countries had high levels of aflatoxin contamination. This saw Kenya put in place stringent measures, including a certificate of origin and conformity, in measures aimed at preventing the entry of contaminated maize into the Kenyan market. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya says grains from the East African community have failed to meet the required standards.
So far, none of those people who are importing maize has met these standards. Nobody has. We thought they are registering, but nobody has now brought in maize with this documentation for them to be allowed to bring in maize in the country.
The government insists that the stringent requirements will not be relaxed.
Give us where, once you are transporting the maize from the border to wherever, to the destination, to tell us the specific cost, your warehouse. Because we also need to be sure that the warehouses are conforming to standards so that, again, we protect the general public who consume the maize, so that we are sure that the maize will not be, the quality won't deteriorate.
Munya has also said the minimum sugarcane farm gate prices for factories from the current 3,700 shillings per ton to 4,040 shillings effective from next month.
59, the committee approved an increase in the price of cane from the current Kenya shillings 3,700 per ton to Kenya shillings 4,040 per ton, effective April 1, 2021, in line with the industry cane pricing formula.
He says Kenya intends to okay importation of 163,000 tons of sugar this year to bridge the production deficit. Benson Diopa reporting for Channel 1 Business.
Central Bank of Kenya Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge says there are no plans, as was the case last year, to restructure loans following the recently announced movement restrictions to contain the spread of COVID-19. Dr. Njoroge says although the measures will be looked at on need basis, the regulator is careful not to overburden depositors who bear the brunt of loan restructuring.
In 2020, the banking industry restructured loans amounting to 1.7 trillion shillings that were active as of March last year to give Kenyans payment flexibility following the impact of COVID-19 on the economy. By the end of February this year, only 569.3 billion shillings worth of the restructured loans were outstanding. The central bank says this is a good indicator of how the economy is faring on. The emergency measures announced on March 18, 2020 to provide relief to borrowers through restructuring of loans expired on 2nd of March 2021. Central Bank Governor Dr. Patrick Njoroge, in his post-monetary policy committee briefing, said the new containment measures spell out uncertainty on how they will impact the economy because, unlike last year, businesses in the one-zoned area continued. As such, the regulator has indicated that there are no plans of introducing relief measures on loans, saying there ought to be a balance between cushioning borrowers and giving depositors their due share. This is despite non-performing loans increasing to 14.8% in February from 14.1% in December. Dr. Njoroge projects that the stock of non-performing loans could continue increasing and peak at 16% in June. Diaspora remittances grew 18.9% in the 12th month of February 2021 to $260 million.
Family Bank Group has posted 1.16 billion shillings in 2020 full-year net profit, representing a 22.44% increase, mainly driven by interest income. The lender has defied a banking industry trend of lower 2020 full-year profits.
Financial institutions have been posting reduced 2020 full-year profits, blamed on a higher stock of non-performing loans that has forced lenders to increase loan loss provisions. This is blamed on challenging economic environment as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Lenders such as NCBA have seen their 2020 full-year profit reduce 42%. Family Bank Group has defied this trend by posting a 22.44% increase in full-year net profit to 1.16 billion shillings, mainly driven by higher interest income. Family Bank Chief Executive Officer Rebecca Mbidi says the better results demonstrates the bank's resilience amidst a challenging operating environment. Customers' deposits grew by 20.3% to 69.8 billion shillings, while the loan book expanded by 11.8% year-on-year to close at 56.6 billion shillings. This powered a 28.4% increase in net interest income to 6.4 billion shillings compared to 5 billion shillings in a similar period in 2019. Investments in government securities increased by 65.9% to 17 billion shillings. The lender restructured loans of worth 16 billion shillings to support MSMEs during the coronavirus pandemic. The bank's operating expenses increased by 20.2% to 7.6 billion shillings, mainly driven by loan loss provisions, which surged by more than 2.5 times to 1.62 billion shillings. Despite this, the group recorded an 11.4% reduction in net non-performing loans to 3.9 billion shillings. Total non-funded income dropped by 4% to 2.7 billion shillings, partially owing to the waiver on mobile transaction fees to cushion customers against the adverse effects of the coronavirus pandemic.
Meanwhile, traffic has resumed at the Suez Canal after the stranded container ship Ever Given was dislodged. More than 70 ships carrying 4 million tons of cargo transit through the canal each day, accounting for 10% of all maritime trade. Egyptian officials say the backlog of ships waiting to transit through could be cleared in the next 3 days. Here are the details of this and other stories from the African continent.
Traffic has resumed in one of the world's busiest trading routes after the container ship blocking the Suez Canal was freed. The Ever Given, carrying more than 200,000 tons, was refloated after a week of efforts from tugboats and dredging teams. The stranded ship is estimated to have been holding up to $9.6 billion of trade along the waterway each day. Hundreds of ships are still waiting to pass in the critical waterway, which links the Mediterranean and the Red Sea. The blockade had been causing disruption in the flow of cargo traffic since Tuesday last week. However, experts believe the knock-on effect on global shipping industry could take weeks or even months to resolve. Meanwhile, a year since theatre doors in Uganda were slammed on revelers amid an unrelenting COVID-19 pandemic, audiences are still at home, but the arts industry is reinventing itself as it strives to stay connected. While the country has opened up other sectors of the economy, the creative industry remains closed as the government fears that the sector could become a super spreader of the pandemic. This has pushed the artists to come up with ways of remaining relevant to their fans, with many resorting to virtual shows. Comedians have also resorted to online shows. Finally, agricultural exports in Morocco are expected to increase following heavy rainfall after a sustained period of drought and water deficit over the past 5 years. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, Maritime Fisheries, Rural Development, Water and Forests, improved agricultural conditions have significantly impacted Morocco's exports of fruits and vegetables. This month, exports of vegetable products had recorded a 3% increase in volume compared to the same period in the previous agricultural year. Moroccan authorities have also suggested that constant downpour is expected to increase the country's agricultural output to a level it has not reached since 2015.
And Air Asia Group BHD reported a fall in shares as analysts lowered earnings forecast after the Malaysian budget airline group posted its record quarterly loss. The stock fell to 6.2% in the first half session of trade. Larger net loss has been recorded due to lockdowns in Malaysia, closed borders and longer than expected time frame for the COVID-19 immunization program. Here are the details of this and other stories from across the globe.
Air Asia, in a results presentation, said it expects a soft first quarter for its Malaysia unit due to lockdowns, but the following quarter could see up to 3% of pre-COVID domestic levels following relaxation on some cross-state tourism. AM Investment Bank said in its note that it was highly critical for Air Asia to shore up its liquidity quickly given its cash burn rate. The research house disclosed that while prospects for the air travel industry and airlines have improved, Air Asia may need to raise more fresh capital, including potentially a debt-to-equity swap for creditors to ensure its long-term survival. Meanwhile, commercial air conditioning technology from LG Electronics has been recognized for its ability to improve indoor air quality, thus making schools, hospitals, and other public premises healthier and safer by removing harmful bacteria and allergy-causing substances. The LG dual vent cassette system has garnered certifications from respected international bodies for its effectiveness in delivering clean air coupled with low volatile organic compound emissions. The air purification capabilities are attributable to the innovative technology that eliminates allergens and bacteria. According to Underwriters Laboratories, products that are Green Guard certified for low chemical emissions contribute to healthier indoor living environments. Finally, Chinese government has warned clothing brand H&M that it will not earn a penny in the country if it refuses to buy cotton from Xinjiang region. H&M and other Western brands are facing a backlash in China after they expressed concern about the alleged use of forced labor in cotton production. China has been accused of forcing members of the mostly Muslim Uyghur minority to pick cotton from Xinjiang. China denies this, and in recent days, critical brands have faced boycotts. Xu Guiziang, government spokesperson at a news conference, said that the company should not politicize its economic behavior and advised it continue to make money in the Chinese market.
Time for the sport. National soccer team Harambee Stars jetted back in the country today morning from Togo after their final Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match against the Sparrowhawks of Togo last night. Stars won the match 2-1, although it had no impact as both teams had already been bundled out of the qualifiers.
National soccer team Harambee Stars arrived in the country this morning from Togo after their last Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match against the Sparrowhawks of Togo. Stars won the match 2-1, although failed to qualify for the Continental Showpiece in Cameroon.
The most important thing is the team collected 3 points, and we won a game away from home after a very long period of time. It shows the quality that is in the team. The team majorly was composed of the local-based players, and I believe everybody gave a good account of themselves, and it's a good way to finish our group, and I hope most of them will be considered in the future assignments.
Despite being knocked out of the qualifiers, Stars received a 2.5 million shillings boost from Odibets.
Our partnership, as we mentioned, is several layered. Not only are we the motivational sponsors, but we also want to remain the official gaming sponsors of the national team. Besides that, and besides the financial sponsorship, it's also to alleviate the pressure that is on the FKF management team from thinking about finances, allowances, and what have you, and let them focus on the games.
FKF President Nick Mwendwa hinted that there are talks with the government to enable the return of the BetKing Premier League as a means of preparing and engaging local-based players ahead of the Africa World Cup qualifiers set to kick off mid this year.
We've been playing without fans, as you know. We continue like that. And he is keen that we come back quickly. He is keen that we vaccinate all our players. So ameniambia leo kwamba anapanga tufanye vaccination of all football players and officials in the league to vaccinate, and then tuendelee na COVID protocol.
Coach Jacob Mule's squad now shifts attention to the upcoming qualifiers for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, where Kenya is drawn against neighbors Uganda, Rwanda and Mali in Group E.
Kundi lolote ukiangalia ni kundi ngumu. Ukiangalia labda tukiangalia FIFA rankings, huenda Mali wako juu katika hilo kundi. Waganda wamekuwa nafanya vizuri katika michuano iliyopita. Mnyarwanda pia naye ameng'ang'ana sana, amekuwa CHAN, Mganda amekuwa CHAN, lakini hizo zote ni historia. Ukiangalia timu ya Kenya ina timu mpya, timu changa, timu ambayo ina uchu wa matokeo.
Uganda and Tanzania also missed out on a place at the Africa Cup of Nations finals.
Ivory Coast defeated Ethiopia 3-1 in their final Group K Africa Cup Brother of Nations qualifier match at the Alassane Stadium in Abidjan. But both sides managed to seal a place in next year's tournament. The victory saw the Elephants finish at the top of Group K, while Ethiopia qualified in the second position after Madagascar and Niger played to a goalless draw. It took just 3 minutes for the Elephants to take the lead through Willy Boli when Frank Kiasi doubled the lead from the spot in the 19th minute. Ethiopia scored with 16 minutes left on the clock, but Ivory Coast sealed the win in the 76th minute. Central Africa Republic were beaten 1-0 by Mauritania in the other match played today. Mongolia 14-0 today to record their biggest ever win in a World Cup qualifying match. Japan, who are looking to qualify for their 7th World Cup in a row, had not played a qualifier since November 2019 because of the coronavirus pandemic. But the Blue Samurai showed no signs of rustness to Southampton forward Takumi Minomino gave them the lead in the 13th minute before 4 more goals before halftime put them in a complete control. 9 more goals after the break give Japan a perfect record of 5 wins from 5 with 26 goals scored and none conceded. And that brings us to the end of Channel 1 News Hour this Tuesday night. It's always a great pleasure having your company. Thank you so much for also interacting with us on our social media platforms. There are so many that are coming in, and of course, just to sample a few of them, Kennedy Safari, you are tuned in to Channel 1 News Hour. Thank you so much for your company. We also had at Spraga, right? You are saying locked into Channel 1 News Hour. Thank you so much. And then if I can just sample a few on Facebook. Okay, Karanja Jumbo tuned in as always from Joma Imru, and Carol Chuma tuned in from Machakos Town. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm Purity Museo. Lenza Odingo has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Up next is weather forecast. Good night. God bless. Sanitize, wash your hands, and put on the mask.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to Channel 1 Weather Updates. My name is Irene Mchuma Odem. Just like yesterday, tonight the capital is experiencing showers of a few places. This is also affecting counties around the region. The Lake Basin region is experiencing showers accompanied by thunderstorms. This as the southeastern lowlands is experiencing scattered wet conditions, and the rest of the country is covered with partly cloudy conditions. Tomorrow it will mainly be sunny over the northern parts of the country, but there will be rains over a few places in areas around Lodwar and Lodwar itself. The Lake Basin region and western sector will mainly be sunny, but areas of Kitale, Kisumu and Narok will experience rains during the morning hours. The coastal strip will mainly be sunny. A few areas in Mombasa will experience showers during the early morning hours. And for you in the capital, Meru, Nyeri, and Machakos, expect rains during the morning hours. These as cloudy weather conditions will characterize several places in these regions. Now, in the afternoon, there'll be an increase of wet conditions across the country, and this will largely affect the western parts of Kenya. These will be showers accompanied by thunderstorms, which will characterize several places in Kisumu, Kakamega, Bungoma, Kisii. Also moving all the way to Lodwar, the northeastern parts of the country will be sunny. The coastal strip will experience scattered wet conditions, which will mainly affect Malindi, Mombasa, and Lamu. Now, there'll be showers in the afternoon in the capital, Meru and Nyeri, and this will also affect Machakos and Voi, equally in Makindu. The highest temperatures across the country will be experienced in Mandera at 39 degrees Celsius. The capital will tomorrow experience highs of 27 degrees Celsius, and tonight we are once again experiencing highs of 16 degrees Celsius. And on that note, let's now cross the borders and have a look at the international forecast. Good night. See you tomorrow. God willing.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Thika, and Meru. Did you know that we are a TVET approved institution? We offer courses in fashion design, interior design and soft furnishing, event decoration, flower arrangement, event planning,